It's Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity with your succulent tip of the day. And it is early June here in Southern California, and things are starting to heat up a bit. We actually have some Santa Ana breezes today. Some of you were asking about the aeoniums in the front yard and how they were doing, and they're hanging in there. You know, you can see that they're starting to close up a little bit, but they're still, semi-awake. These looked so bad last summer, and they probably will look bad again by July or August, but right now they are looking lively. I decided to rework this pot with you today because I would imagine that you all have a similar situation where your plants, are really starting to dry up and look leggy and just kind of tired, right? And the longer we get into the season, the more this is going to happen. So also, my stick's on fire, the Tirocali, I like to stay on top of this in pots and make sure that I'm working with it always as a cutting. I don't want it to get too root bound and create a problem for me. So, oh, yeah. So I'm gonna this is all gonna come out in one, yep. This is another indicator that it's time to rework your pots when it literally comes out in one piece like this. Yikes. All right, but that's really going to be really, really easy to work with. Now, I'm just going to refill this pot. You know me, path of least resistance, right? I'm using Miracle Grow potting mix because that's what was around the corner on the side of the house. Hannah had bought this to do some things. I don't care what kind of soil I use as long as it drains well. But here we are. So I'm going to refill this pretty full because I am going to be resetting these plants as cuttings in here. Remember to tamp your soil down because it decomposes rather quickly. And you don't want to come out one day and have the soil level down by 50% in your pot. That would just be a tragedy. Okay, now, rather than taking the time to systematically tear this whole thing apart, like taking my clippers and loosening up the root ball and removing each plant and dusting it off and digging a hole and sticking it in. You can do that if you have all the time in the world, or you can just start cutting stuff, which is what I like to do because I'm lazy and I don't want to work that hard, and I don't want all these stems either. This looks so much better as a nice compact plant. Oh, also a little PSA for you all. Yesterday, when I came home from work, I took off when I finished work, I took off my gloves and I put them in my back pocket. And I proceeded to forget about them, and I had to pee so bad when I came home. So I sat down and my gloves fell into the toilet. But I fished them out immediately, and I washed them thoroughly, and I set them out on the back bench to dry. Good as new. Good as new.
So gross.
Yeah. So don't panic. If you drop your gloves into the toilet, they're salvageable. I wasn't sure if they would shrink or they wouldn't dry out completely or, whatever, but no worries. It's all good. Okay, now, this Echeveria. I think this is a Sahara, and it's not that big because, it is completely root bound in this pot. Remember, you're going to take this opportunity also to clean up all the dead underleaves. Ugh. Okay. I'm trying to get to that sticks on fire. Geez, there are a lot of plants in this pot. Who knew? Okay. Now, with the sticks, since I want to work with this as a cutting, I think what I'm going to do is just take pieces of it like this. Remember, do not let the sap make contact with your skin or get it in your eyes. It will hurt like a mofo. I'm going to take the bigger pieces that are prettier, like these two. See, those are really nice. This looks kind of scrubby, doesn't it? This growth, not loving that. This, on the other hand, love a lot. So I'll just put the rest of this pot over in the Garden of Death to allow it to regenerate, as we have, we all know that it will. But meanwhile, I'm going to cut off all of the desirable pieces that I like and that I want to reuse. See, I got some sap on my arm. Now, it doesn't bother my skin. I'm lucky, so I'm not going to worry about that. Some people, it will cause a rash, or like Hannah, causes a rash, gets itchy. So yeah, just be careful working with this plant. It's a beautiful plant. Okay, now I am ready to put this in the Garden of Death. I've got some allergies working here today too, so forgive me for sniffing. All right, now I'm ready to start resetting. So we would always start with our big thrillers first. So we're going to take our sticks, and like candles in a birthday cake, if your succulent stands up, you've done your job. So voila there. Now I'm going to take my Echeveria Sahara. I'm going to pop it in right next to the sticks. See how I'm working with my larger pieces first? And no, I am not applying any root tone. I'm not waiting for them to harden off. I'm just sticking them right into dry soil. Now, also, because we're working into warmer weather, you may want to take this arrangement that you're reworking and give it a break by putting it in a shadier spot where it's going to get less beating hot sun until it does have a chance to reroot. The wrinkling on the cotyledons, yeah. See this? I found this plant over along the side yard. This cotyledon is a really tough girl. So see all this wrinkling? This is just the plant's way of sustaining itself while it works on regenerating a root system. It uses all of the nutrients and the moisture from its leaves to sustain life until it can throw off new roots. And you can see at the joint there and at the joint there that it is attempting to do so. And I'm so mean cutting that off. It's gonna have to start over. That stem was too long, but it's okay. These are the most resilient plants on the planet. So, okay, I've also found some Crassula argentea sunset along the side of the house that's really colored up beautifully. Now, I could put, some fussy, soft stuff in here. You can see I've got some gorgeous aeoniums over here, but knowing that we're working into summer dormancy, I don't want to set this pot up to fail. So I don't want to use things that are going to be subject to, desiccation or rot or burning. I want to work with tougher, more resilient plants. Yeah, so we have Sahara, we have Crassulas, we have Sticks on Fire, we have Cotyledon. And, these rosettes, these sedums and these pachyphyllums, moonstones, they're tougher than you think. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, God. That is so, so pretty. And also these plants, they are used to being out here in this environment. Where this is in my yard gets morning sun until probably about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon in the summer, and then the sun starts to work its way over. So I'm going to put this back up on my pillar and hope for the best. If things start showing signs of really stressing, I'll move it. And that's the beauty of pots too. They're not permanent, so you can always move things around whenever you want. So now you are just having fun. You can see that I am just putting plants in willy-nilly. Is there a method to my madness? Not really. I do know that I want the larger things in the center and up higher, and the smaller things at the edges, because the larger things will overwhelm the smaller things, right? So you always want to put the littler things toward the edges where they can be seen and enjoyed. You can see that this plant also found around the side of the house. Isn't that a stunner? It looks like a pink Vige. Look at all those roots. This was thrown over as a cutting. Yeah, turn this pot for you so you can see what's happening over here. So yes, now it's just a question of, you know, don't overthink it. Spider. Don't overthink it. A lot of you ask me, well, how do you know, what colors to pair with, how do you combine colors? And I don't know. I just throw plants in and hope for the best. I think that you guys have a lot more talent and instinct than you give yourselves credit for. And remember, I'm throwing these things in as cuttings. So if at any point in this process I'm not happy with what I've done, or if something dies, or I decide tomorrow I don't like that there, it's so easy to just rearrange, to pull things out and move them around. But follow your heart, follow your instinct, get out of your head, and give yourself a chance. Do this work without thinking. Give it at least 24 hours. Then go back and take a look before you make any changes. I think you will most definitely surprise yourselves. I am headed over to Del Mar Heights in a couple of hours to do a new client consultation. Then I'm meeting with a client in Granite Hills, which is kind of inland in San Diego County. It's kind of hot. We are going to be breaking ground on a small installation for her, most likely next week. So that will be our first actual installation since coming out of quarantine. So we're pretty excited about that. And then it's just trying to squeeze maintenance into all the gaps. I'm so far behind on maintenance. Now remember, you don't necessarily have to fill every single gap with plants. If you have some pretty top dressing rock or shells or glass or something that you'd like to use, you can do that. You can leave some open spaces. And they're so cute. Oh, thank you, Hannah. You can leave some open spaces and add rock if you'd like. Oh goodness, let me introduce you all to Sassy. This is a relatively new addition to the Eubanks clan, a little succulent cat. And she was an indoor cat for the first 6 or 7 months of her life and has proceeded to rip holes in every screen in our house. So we have decided to, with supervision, allow her some outdoor privileges in the hopes that she becomes far less destructive. She is a very sweet cat, and clearly we love her dearly. Okay, I have enough material that I can go ahead and cram plants in really, really tight into this arrangement. And what you're going to find too is as the days and weeks progress, these plants are going to shrink, and you may have to add more things as you go. Remember why plants shrink? Because they're using all of the moisture in their leaves to throw off new roots, so the leaves get smaller. I guess you could say when you're working with a cutting, you're putting your plants on a diet. Okay, so yep, I feel really good about this. What did that take? Like 10, 13 minutes and 40 seconds, but I also talked about other things. So okay, here you go. Here's some inspiration for you to get yourselves outside and start reworking some of your pots. Now you can see that this guy is going to get some sun. But here's its partner, which I'll do later. You can see the difference, how ratty that looks in comparison to how tight and compact this new arrangement looks that I just made. So have fun with it. Your plants will thank you. Y'all have a good day. This has been Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity with your succulent tip of the day.